Senecal interview, take one. Silence. Hey, this is... It's not gonna be easy.
Cut!
Cut! What are you doing, man? Who's the director? Take two. Hey, this is Crabman from Hanuman Hunters, and today we are having a really special guest from across the ocean, Grant.
Hello.
Also known as...
Troll of Nova.
Troll of Nova, for example. He's visiting Europe, he's on a trip, and he decided to come to us. So it's nice to have you.
Thank you very much.
And tell me, this isn't your first time in Europe, right?
No, I've been here a few times across the continent, but it's the first time in Poland. So it's a special treat, a special experience. It keeps things fresh.
Yeah, we played one full game, which was recorded. So how was that experience for you?
That experience was pretty fun. I had control in the beginning for about half the game, and then kind of lost it towards the end, but with a very respectable result. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how that game turned out.
Yeah, that's great. And you've also been to tournaments in Europe?
Yes.
So how was that experience?
The tournament experience in Europe, it varies by place, by people who are there, but overall, you're playing against very friendly people that have the infrastructure to grow into something bigger over the long term. Not to cast any shade on North America, but Europe knows what it's doing at this point. In North America, we're still... Because we're so sparsely populated, it's just harder to get one core of players to grow quickly.
Yeah.
We've got 27 little seedlings, and of them there are probably only 5 or 6 that are huge.
Yeah, and you're much bigger, so it's harder to get people together, right?
Yes.
I imagine.
Because the distances for travel are just insanely big. Montreal to Vancouver, for example, the 2 places with the big reach clubs in Canada, it's almost a 5,000 kilometer drive between the 2.
Yeah.
And if you fly, well, you're flying over 3 time zones. For Europeans, it's about London to Kiev in Ukraine, so...
Yeah. That's unthinkable. Yeah, okay. And tell me, how did you start in Mahjong?
I started in Mahjong because I was interested in the other Asian table games that are out there. So I was exposed to Go around 2001. Then I picked up bases of Shogi. Then by 2003, I was looking into Mahjong, of course. But to try and find information and then places to play Mahjong was very difficult back then. Now it's better, but Tenho did not exist in 2003, so it took me a while. It took me about a year to actually find that there was a club that was active and functioning in Montreal. And it's fair to say that it took me a while because it wasn't there when I was first interested, but then it just popped into existence within the year, so quite grateful for Montreal to be there on the map.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you mostly play online or live games too?
I mostly play live games simply because while Mahjong itself is fun, it's a social table game where you can interact with your opponents, you can engage in casual banter, little jabs, little insults here and there, but it's all good-spirited fun. So when you're with people who can take as much as they give, and in turn you also improve on that front, 'cause it's good to be exposed to a bit of sarcasm here and there. So yeah, sarcasm with the discussion, but the games, they're serious yet fun at the same time, and it's an environment I wouldn't trade for the world.
Yeah, that's very important to keep the balance between making jokes and stuff and still playing seriously.
Yes.
And with manners and everything in place, right?
Yes. I mean, locally we had our own type of manners that had to be derived. You won't get the same Japanese experience in Europe or in North America, well, maybe except for like 2-3 places, but we can skip that. The experience is proper to us. So once you have a small network of people, the codes for how to interact with each other, they just develop over time. It only gets complicated when you start dealing with other networks.
Yeah.
And then sometimes their codes don't match. So while we can say, oh, there's a Japanese reference, sometimes it works to import it as is, and other times we have to find a nice milieu, a nice spot between the two to be able to exchange fairly without insulting each other or just, I wouldn't say insult or disparage that much. I'd say more miscommunicate.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of room for miscommunication. One of the things that I've been adamant about for almost 15 years now is that calls should be as clear as possible. You should not assume that your opponents know your language or your culture. You might share a bit of the language, but not enough to communicate freely. So it's very important to actually vocalize calls when you're making them and use the terminology that exists, not create new ones or accept 75 different variants. I know it's hard for some cultures compared to others, but pon, chi, and kan, it's not that hard. I did mention, what was it? For people from Cyrillic languages, so Ukrainians and Russians, be indulgent if there's a bit of a mix-up between pon and ron. Because of the way the letters are actually written, it's a normal mistake for them to make. So be indulgent when it's something they can't control. But if it is something you can control, once, twice, you can kind of forgive them, but you can't forgive them when it's years after the fact. So, But that's all. It's not ill will. It's just it helps when we share the same the same codes with each other.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so could you say anything about the skill level of the European players compared to North American ones?
I would dare say that when I first came here in 2011, there were a few pockets of really, really strong players in Europe, but most of the European players out there were falling behind the North Americans I was exposed to at the time. Because North America wasn't really that organized in 2011, let's be honest. We were not there yet by a long shot. It was Montreal, New York, and clubs that didn't even advertise. That's about how much it was in North America. I'd say compared to what I was exposed to, Europe was, as a whole, weaker in 2011. But the Danes are really strong players, and I think the only reason why I managed to win a tournament in 2011 was because the Danes played with a purpose, and sometimes you can read people a bit better when they are playing with purpose. Now, I'd say in the last 4 years, to be quite honest, so since 2015, I'd say Europe has been much stronger than the North American average, and it's to everyone's benefit, to be quite honest, to actually have, what is it, 20 European countries that play each in some form or another. It's almost as spread out as North America as a whole, but you have 20 cores, whereas we only have like 2 or 3 for the size of our continent. So North America has been growing. I mean, we have 27 or so clubs across the continent, at least those that broadcast. But yeah, I think Europe took many strides, and just from seeing how people play in Poland, seeing how people play in Sweden, seeing how people play in the United Kingdom, and even in France, to a certain extent, there are very, very strong players out there. And yeah, the only thing I can hope for is that the strong players get stronger and the weaker players get to the level of the strong players now, and that would be a great future for everybody.
Yeah, those are good words. Okay, so you're playing the Cologne tournament?
Yes.
So do you have any hopes, expectations, your minimum placement that you're hoping for?
Yes, so the tournament in Cologne, and apologies, I forgot the name. Is it Cherry Dragon, Sakura Dragon, something like that? Tournament in Cologne, the end of April, very soon. It's going to be 52 players from 10 countries. I want to say top 8. I'll be happy with 12, but that's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for something in the top quarter this time.
Yeah. And it's a 2 days tournament.
It's a 2-day
right?
tournament, yes.
Yeah, most of them are nowadays. That's a good thing, because
yes,
less variance.
Well, it's not so much less variance; it's more time to play. Because sometimes you could have a 1-day tournament with only 5 hanchan, and sometimes you can go 5 rounds, you can go 4 rounds even. Are they fun tournaments? Yes. But longer tournaments tend to be more fun, so I'm quite happy that Europe has many of the experiences to be had annually. What is it now? There are already something like 35 tournaments just for this year alone?
Yeah, almost every week there's something going on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they organize a bit better as a whole, or even in their groups. Probably because there's smaller units per country. They tend to organize a bit better on that front, so they can harness multiple clubs for one purpose. And I think that's one of the advantages that North America still has to tap. There's some progress on that front. There's the Tornado Alley tournament just a few weeks ago in Oklahoma, where the people in Texas came to help run the tournament.
Yeah, I've heard of it. No, that was not.
It was a really nice event.
Yeah.
I couldn't go, unfortunately. Dallas was nice. I would love to see Oklahoma as well, but
next time.
Hey, everything's just a flight away.
Yeah.
Or 3. Yeah, so progress is happening in North America. It's just that Europe has progressed further, and it's sad to say, but it feels like I'm closer to Europe because of my location in Canada. So
yeah, I guess that could be said. Okay, and I also have more general questions. Do you have any Mahjong-related dreams?
Mahjong-related dreams. I'd love to snag a top 8 spot in a WRC caliber event.
Yeah.
The problem is, well, qualifying becomes hard enough to do nowadays because of the size of the tournaments and the interest from people across the world. So it gets hard. It's difficult to get in. The players are even more of a challenge to overcome. Just one Japanese pro on a table can make things much more difficult. And if there are 2, if you haven't been exposed to that kind of, it's not rough play, it's skilled play. It's difficult to play against because you don't know how to respond sometimes. But for them, it's an automatic response. They know when they pick up something, they know what to do. They know what to do with all 34 different types of tiles. It takes them a half-second reflex, and they've got all the motions rehearsed. Whereas even if you play, I'd say, weekly in North America or Europe, you won't have the same reflexes.
No, probably not.
Unless you're playing something like 15, 20 hours a week, every week, and you have the infrastructure and the people to go with it. It exists. It does exist. It's just very, very rare.
Yeah.
So, because of that, top 8 is the dream. So just getting into the playoffs would be satisfying.
The final tables, that's amazing.
Other than that, then there's always the trip to the dream trip to Japan. I mean, you've had them in some shape or form of another. I mean, I wanted to go to Japan since I was like 17, and I'm old. So it's been a while that I've wanted to go, but I think it'll be more of a 2021 thing when I'll be saving up my vacation explicitly for that this time.
Yeah, so I wish you good luck with that. Thank you. To finish the interview, I'd like you to maybe say a few words about our club, to invite people to visit Poland, visit Bielawa, come play with us.
Honeyman Hunters is, and the people part of the team here, this is a diamond in the rough. This is a place where people love the game. I mean, we all love playing Mahjong to a certain extent, but it just seems like here it's a passion. You don't have to be the most skilled player, but are you having fun playing? If you do, Bielawa would be the greatest place. I'd say greatest place in Europe to play, at least as far as I know at this point.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the interview. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, thanks for watching, and see you around. Bye.